want to start with the thick end in your wedge. All right, and then you come out here and you just put leverage on it slowly. And you get it to break apart into more manageable sizes. Stick it in there, thick end first, and it just has the end just barely behind the bigger tree. And then you just kind of lean into it and you start breaking stuff off. And as you can see, this is just a lot more efficient than trying to cut it with an axe or a saw. I see trees like this. This immediately makes me think, oh, I want to build a fire, because this is like the perfect kindling. So if I'm hiking or out backpacking or whatever the case may be, and I know that I'm going to need a fire later on, what I'll do is I'll just grab, you know, a few handfuls of this kind of kindling, this real good, thin, dry, pencil lead kindling that I've talked about in, you know, several different videos. And I'll take that and kind of break it up and just shove it down in my cargo pocket as I go along. And you do that, you know, 3 or 4 times, and you'll end up having, you know, most of the kindling, the primary kindling anyway, you know, the thin stuff that you need to start your fire by the time you get to camp. So then all you got to do is just grab some of the, you know, the bigger pencil size and some of the thumb size, and you're pretty much ready to go. Right now what I want to do is kind of want to talk about how to make a bird's nest for any time that you're going to start a primitive fire, where you're starting a fire with an ember or a coal or something along those lines, and then blowing it to life. Now, the way I see it, there's basically kind of 4 parts to a bird nest. Okay, so here's just some basic dry grasses. You just want to make sure you don't have anything green in there. When you take it, you know, if whatever comes out, then that's the dead stuff, and that's fine to add. If it wants to stick with the plant, then just leave it there and don't worry about it. So this is a really big juniper tree, or red cedar, or whatever you want to call them. And on these trees, especially in the older ones, you see this fiber stuff that just kind of starts to flake off of here. And this is the stuff that you want. This stuff works really, really well, especially when it's been hanging there just dry, kind of in the wind. This is going to be good to where I can actually kind of pulverize this up and use this for some of the center, the very inner portion, that's going to go ahead and catch my coal and help light the grasses and everything on fire. So what I want to do with this is basically I just want to take it in my hand and I just want to start pulverizing it and just really grinding it up so that it's in as many small little fibers as possible, and you can kind of work it back and forth, and that'll kind of give you an idea. See how fibrous that is? That's kind of what you're looking for, is you want that coal to be able to catch those little bitty fibers. I would take this, these are the, get that green stuff out of there, we don't want any green in there. I would take the grasses that I have, and then I'm going to place this kind of in it and around it, so that I've got kind of a little bundle, kind of like that. Here are some of the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Just some very small, very thin, pencil lead size things. You know, I want to grab maybe 8 or 10, 12 of those, something along those lines. Nothing with any real substance to it at all. So this is enough, just, you know, just a little handful there or whatever. And see if I can get the bird's nest out. Basically what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to kind of place these along the back side and the bottom, so that whenever I turn this thing over and lay it down onto my platform and up next to my brace, then it's already got some kindling in it that it can start to, you know, flame up and to burn and everything. You know, these are just like pencil sized sticks, and basically I'm just going to kind of put them over the top of the other ones and kind of along the sides. And so that way, as I'm moving this thing around, I can kind of pinch that nest in, kind of hold it together with those sticks, and it just keeps it from falling apart or anything like that. So anyway, guys, that is how to build a bird's nest. So we've got a tinder bundle laying down here. Just a really small bird's nest, just to see if we can get this going and how quick it'll go and all that kind of stuff. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to basically take this stick, I've sharpened off the end and I've got the lens in it, and I'm going to kind of focus the beam right down there, roughly where I can see that it's going to start, and then I'll be able to kind of move this, and then as you can see, it'll start to smoke, and I'll just kind of let that build a little bit. I don't need to be any rush or anything like that. So I'm going to want that coal to get pretty big. Apologize about the filming. This was not going to be a planned video, so I just have my cell phone today. So I'm just kind of moving that tinder bundle around, creating a hot spot. And what I did in the center there is I really kind of pulverized the grass. So there's a lot of small little stuff that'll work pretty good as a coal in there. Personally, I don't really like Fresno lenses a whole lot. There we go. And got it burst into flames. Okay guys, we'll go ahead and start at the bottom with the number one mistake that people make, and that is that they don't use a platform. Okay, a platform should be anything that is, you'd like to ideally have it about 12 inches by 12 inches if you can. And what this is going to do is you want it to be something that's dry and something that's solid and something that is going to help reflect the heat back up into your kindling and tinder, or from your tinder up into your kindling. So a rock works well. If you can find a flat rock, that works good. You can also split down logs into halves and lay them next to one another. That works as well. In a pinch, you can also use just a flattened aluminum can. That works okay. It's not really the ideal size for it, but it's really good at reflecting the heat back up, and it is obviously usually dry. So you can use that as well. So that platform is just providing you a good base to start your fire off with, and it keeps your tinder from getting wet, and it also keeps you from losing that heat from the tinder into the ground. Okay, so the next thing is having a brace. Now this is a brace. All right, it's about a forearm sized piece of wood. You're going to put it on your platform, and you're going to put it here right next to your tinder. And what this does is this allows you to keep the right amount of oxygen mixture so that your fire will burn at an optimal temperature and the best that it can. I don't know how many YouTube videos I've watched where guys they light a fire and they have to get down here and they have to start blowing and all that kind of stuff. And the reason is because they're not using a brace. All right, they don't have the oxygen. You got to have three things to start fire: heat, fuel, and oxygen. Your heat is coming from your tinder and bouncing back up from your platform. Your fuel is obviously from your kindling and the tinder as well. And then your oxygen is being provided obviously through the atmosphere, but the key element of it is in building a fire is having that brace. All right, it's going to make all the difference in the world. So those are the first two problems that people make. Now, the next thing that people do is once they light their tinder, you know, they get down here, and this frustrates me to no end. They get down there and they light their tinder up, and then they'll take a couple of pieces. They'll take 1 or 2 pieces and stick it over the top of the fire. And then they take another couple of pieces and they put it over the fire. And they keep going. And the problem with that is that you're going to smother the fire eventually, okay? You end up putting pieces into every little corner where it doesn't have enough oxygen to breathe, and it's just not going to work out that well for you. So, what I recommend that you do is, I recommend that you process your kindling and tinder ahead of time. And you should have at least 3 bundles of your smallest size kindling, okay? So, when I'm just talking about handful size, just like that. Have at least 3 handful sizes like that. And then what you're gonna do is, all at once, just take it and flatten it out a little bit, slap it on the fire. Don't mess with it, okay? It's good enough, you don't have to mess with it. It's gonna start burning. That brace, if you notice, that brace is creating the perfect amount of oxygen so that you get plenty of flow, plenty of oxygen flow coming up from your fire. You'll never have to blow on a fire again if you light fires this way from now on. So then you take your next bundle and you throw it perpendicular to the first bundle, okay? It's gonna keep coming, the flames are gonna keep climbing. As soon as your flames are coming through, you're ready for the next bundle, all right? So then I'm gonna go ahead, I'm going to throw on the 3rd bundle. So I've got flames this high already, and I haven't hardly even put anything on there, right? So it's ready for more fuel. So as you can see, this is a very efficient way to start a fire, okay? This will work in the wintertime, it will work in the rain, it will work at any point. It doesn't make any difference. Adding that brace in there, having a good platform, and putting your fuel, your kindling, all on in bundles. Just flatten it out, stick it on there in a big bundle, and it's going to grow very rapidly, just like this fire did. Anyhow, guys, I hope you really enjoyed these tips, and next time you're out there building fire, give it a shot. I guarantee you that it's going to work a lot better for you, and you're not going to have to spend time messing with your fire and, you know, blowing on it and getting smoke in your face and all those kinds of things. So anyhow, thanks a bunch for watching. I really appreciate it when you hit the like button, the thumbs up, share it with your friends on social media and all that kind of stuff. Thanks again. We'll see you on another video here shortly.